Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Oz is spinning on those ones and twos, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you from Seattle. Not Seattle. From Washington.
Olympia.
Whatever. Overalls man is here. We love him. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody else for joining today. Guys, the full court press is on with the censorship stuff right now. It really, really is. I mean, I'm looking at our YouTube right now, and we got about 65 people watching. When just about 6 months ago at this time, we'd have about 200 people in. We'd have about 600 to 800 people on the stream. Everything's been crushed. Now, I know they want to tell you, well, it's not the political time, fam. It's after the election. You get a big lull. It's not true. They're suppressing. They're shadow banning. They're keeping us down. They're demonetizing people. We're going to talk about that today. I'm so pissed off. I got my fuck censorship shirt on. You can see it. We gotta stand up.
Oh my gosh, Pasta! Don't break anything.
I don't want to break anything. It's got the Easter egg in for when we just did it in L.A. Me and Glory Jones. She took the front of the pack. I took the back of the pack. Everybody made speeches.
That's because you're all loud AF,
That's
motherfuckers.
We do our role. Fam gave the last speech of the day, wrapped it up. Everybody was just supercharged when we got, let's go do this. Fuck censorship. No, sorry, through my teeth. So what we need you to do is like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Get over to Rokfin, Rokfin. They're not going to stop with the censorship. They're not going to stop with their ways. This is the predator class keeping everybody down. I mean, this is some Nazi shit they're pulling right here, right now. This is fascism. For all you guys going, we got to vote out fascism. This is fascism.
Yeah. And, everybody knows I'm a Russian asset, just in case you forgot. So,
yeah.
All right.
Let me read these three quick, and then you get started on the first one. Trey Wright, because he's the first one in. I wished him love last night. Gave him a heart on his good night tweet.
Again?
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Every
if I catch
night.
it, hello, fam.
Trey,
thank you so much. Thank you. He says, hello, fam. So he spared you the whole thing. But guess who didn't? James Evans. James Evans, thank you for the Super Ray contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch.
When we have our guest Steve to talk about Commander X, we're both going to stare at you with a death stare.
All right.
That.
Shadowban Refugee says, we're going to settle this shit. Go ahead and settle this shit right now, okay? Pineapple belongs on pizza. Vladdy McPutin Daddy is God. Peru needs some freedom. And no, not R.I.P. TYT, R.I.T. Rest in torment. Check out the financial fraud in New Mexico by the state. Signing people up for unemployment and sending them debit credit cards to inflate the numbers for increased federal funding.
Wow.
Shadow ban refugee
always
with
coming
the
in.
Slam dunk. Guys got knowledge. Guys got energy. Guys got class, fam. What's going on in Peru? You went there yesterday. You went there last week. No, but you did go. It was amazing.
I was there yesterday, yes.
Please let us know what's up, because I'm sitting on pins and needles over here. Tell me he won, Charlie. Tell me he won.
Well, Pedro Castillo has declared victory officially. However, the ONPE has counted all of the ballots, including the ones that were, they had to be substantiated. So there's the counting of ballots, and then they had to make sure that they were all good. And so the OMPE, the electoral office, the National Electoral Office, already said, yes, 100% reporting, 100% substantiated. Pedro Castillo is winning, has won effectively. However, the JNE is still going over las actas, which are the tallies that Keiko is alleging are fraudulent. And so that's what's happening. He has, however, done something that he didn't do before, which is claimed victory. And so have other officials, even in opposition to him, have said he is effectively the president-elect. So this is a whole other thing. I just wanted to put the Guardian that they're basically saying that that's what happened. But more than anything, I wanted to really read his tweet.
This is his tweeter?
His tweet. So the next slide, he says, a new day has begun. Millions of Peruvians have stood up in defense of dignity and justice. Thanks to the people of Peru, who from their diversity and historic strength have given me their trust. My government, our government, will be a government by all of the people. So he is once again claiming victory. He's claiming himself victorious, and he's saying that the government will be by and for the people, reemphasizing his whole campaign message. No more poor people in a rich country. You know, we need to really work with the people, have the people really lead, because in Peru, there's a lot of privatization going on. So he's just emphasizing that again. Here is the chart I wanted to show you guys of the OMPE. Here is the actualización de resultados. So actas contabilizadas, which means that these have been accounted for. So it's not just the ones that have been processed, but the ones that have been double checked, 100%. With 100% reporting, he is at 50.125 to Keiko's 49.875. He is winning her by a substantial margin still. And there's no denying that. So by the OMPE's accounts, that's it. They're done. But now the JNE has to say something, right? So I'm just going to break down what I wrote.
This is
here
your Twitter?
my tweets.
My tweetsers.
So I said breaking. The OMPE official has counted all of the votes, including the ones in question. Pedro Castillo is the president of Peru with 100% of the votes counted. Keiko Fujimori still refuses to concede. She is absolutely still refusing to concede until the JNE of Peru, and you guys can look at their account yourself, admits it's not 100% official. So they have to verify what they were looking at. Most politicians, including those in his opposition, have said he is the effective winner. This has never happened in the history of Peru before, where it's taking this long to decide a winner. Like never.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the JNE still has to give their verdict on Las Actas, which Keiko is alleging were the fraudulent ones. And it will be given by the end of this week or before. So that's the latest that we have as of this morning at like 5 a.m. And there's a JNE. And you can see them right here. And it says that in Spanish, the JNE will proclaim the results of the presidential elections once resolving the appeals over the observed actas, of the observed tallies, and the petition of nullification. So, and that's what they're going to do. So basically, they're still looking at this, and they could potentially still be like, oh, these are no Keiko won. They could potentially do that. She has people in the JNE who people claim have been bought off. I'm still, I want to be happy. I want to celebrate. And I am, but I'm still I'm not going to let out a sigh of relief until this fucking shit is done right here, because this is how they can still do it. Now, Pedro Castillo, though, him claiming victory means he's not going to accept them overturning it, which is important, because
that's the
that
difference
means
of today.
Yeah, okay. Because that means that like most people, including like in Peru, even people who are on Keiko's side are like, okay, he won. Like you can't, and so it might take a little bit. She's doing everything she can to to continue this whole process. So there are reports that thousands of ronderos and thousands of people from the provinces have come to the capital city of Lima to demand an official call to victory for Pedro Castillo. And Keiko Fujimori, of course, and her supporters are the only ones that are actually saying, no, we're not conceding. This is the opposite. And there have been like altercations between the two as of recent. And that started even when I was there. They were trying to start things. So that's happening. But I wanted you guys to see some of these pictures.
Yeah, I mean, they're not being some of these pictures.
They're not even pressed. You can see the picture right there. Wow.
Click on them.
That's well, I think that's just a tweet that he has, but we have more. We'll show the next one.
Oh, yeah, we do have pictures. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. So then I wanted us to click on this the Facebook video actually first, and then we'll go through the pictures.
Number 4.
Slide to the left 4.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah, so that's just a Facebook video. And we can just fast forward through. I wanted to show all the people in Lima.
I love the giant pencils.
Yeah, the giant pencils
are amazing.
Look at them. They're all marching in the capital. I mean, that must have been, I wanted that.
This is where
I'm so mad.
Damn, you should have stayed another week.
I should have.
Well, we didn't know this was going to happen. This has never happened before. It's unprecedented. Yeah. Because of the way that the elections are set up, usually you get a result that night. Yeah. Which is, I have some questions once we're through this picture, because I know a lot of people are still saying, oh, Keiko Fujimori, she's doing what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
It's like, we should talk about that shit after. So.
I think we've talked about it at nauseum, but I just feel like people are still saying that. It's really obnoxious. But yeah, I love the giant pencils, and it's just great. The energy, the people of Peru, especially the working class from outside of Lima, have come in because Lima, like I said, is a Keiko city. Like the majority of big business is there, more wealth is there, and this idea that these people surrounding Lima are lesser than still exists. So I love it.
I want a giant pencil.
I freaking love it. Yeah, I want a giant pencil. Pedro Castillo's people, mándanos un lápiz, por favor. So let's just click on slide 5, Oz. We can go through the pictures.
Yeah.
If you guys want to watch that, it's I'll put it in the description later so you guys can watch the whole. It's just a whole live stream. It's on Pedro Castillo's page on Facebook. But guys, this is from last night. The pictures of him celebrating. You can see him overlooking the crowd there. Yeah. You can see all of these people that were there. I mean, when I was there were still that many people, but now it's like, okay, he's declaring victory. This is what we wanted to hear that day, him declaring victory, right? And there are the people. And there he is also giving a thumbs up, like, hey, we won. And that's the balcony that he kept coming out from. And then the final picture is just him with the people behind him, which is, I think, an awesome picture because you can see literally the people behind him. Yeah, so that's the update, guys. Like I said, this is good. This is really good. That means he's claiming victory. That means it's going to be more difficult. People are going to get angry if they do anything. And I have a feeling it's going to be very difficult for them to overturn it because they know that the people are like ready to pounce it right now in Peru. So I don't think they're going to do it. I think he's going to win. However, can't put it past the OAS, the CIA, the establishment to come in and try to do this. So just because he won doesn't mean he's safe, guys, because again, lithium, we got Keiko's party who has a substantial, they're less than the Fuerza Popular, than the Perú Libre. Her party, Fuerza Popular, has less people, but they have combined with other parties to stand against him. So he's going to face strong.
They're going to find his name in Epstein's black book all of a sudden. Hey, look, Pedro Castillo is in Epstein's black book.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They're going to try to manufacture some type of like negative thing against Pedro Castillo.
Well, they already are. Yeah.
Well, they're going to go deeper.
They're saying he's not that great. They're all the headlines. Oh, he's really not that.
But they got to give something juicy, fam. Juicy to the American people so they can fucking buy into this.
It's going to be hard
we got to remove Pedro Castillo. He's done something really, really awful.
The juicy thing was the whole affiliation with Shining Path, which they don't really have evidence of. They were just saying in the propaganda stuff. Yeah. That was the whole thing.
Let's talk about just briefly and get this out there and stuff because I know a lot of people are saying, well, why don't they just Donald Trump do with what they're doing in Peru and just concede? I mean, why is he trying to do the same thing that Keiko Fujimori is trying to do and trying to protest these elections? Why won't he
Donald
just
Trump
accept
isn't
defeat?
Doing that, dude. Yeah. He's not doing that. That's people who felt like the election was unfair. It's not Donald Trump leading it. Mm-hmm. He didn't pay for it. He's not doing it right now. Like the thing is, you can't compare apples and oranges. People have this like knee-jerk like reaction to this knee-jerk like just impulse to compare Peru with like a country that has proprietary software and electronic voting. Like, I'm sorry, it's two completely different things. You can trace here. They literally have like the hand-marked paper ballots, and then they destroy those, and then they have the whole tallies. They have the whole process. I had to go and ask and speak to the leader of the OMPE in that little area in order to get inside and even film from the outside. Like it was hard. You don't just like get to go in there and film. They have a specific process. Now, it's not perfect by any means, right? I spoke about this on Missy's show. Them destroying the ballots. I don't think that's a great idea right away, not until you have the full count. Them lacking a little bit of accessibility for people who are disabled isn't great. Just not counting it publicly. I think that should be a public thing, so you never have any sign of like, oh, this person did this and that.
Yeah.
And yeah, but what they do have is like a chain of custody where they deliver the ballots are delivered via truck at a certain time. They have like the mesas already accounted for, who's going to vote where, what specific table they're going to get into. You can trace, like, again, paper ballots. You have 3 to 5 minutes wait times to go vote.
Yeah.
You have to bring your DNI, which allows security that we would consider right wing here. And so it's, when you have all those things, like if you had all those things here, you wouldn't have the the part of the idiotic right that thinks, oh, like illegals are voting, because you would dispel all that, because you would have like a vote of like an ID or some form of verification. But in Peru, they're able to give everybody IDs, even people who live in the mountains at the very tippy top of the Andes. Somehow Peru's able to give them IDs.
Yeah.
But you can't give people IDs here. So I wouldn't have a problem with IDs if everybody had access to a fucking ID.
Yeah.
But they make it so hard to get one here too.
Let me just say this much. It's not so much the ID that really when you show up is the issue, and that's being kind of like the waters are being muddied. It's your absentee ballots, which don't exist over in Peru, except for certain situations, maybe for military, whatnot, and everything like that. If in fact the United States had the same voting rules as Peru, Donald Trump and his followers would take it hands down and go, okay, let's go. Day of voting, hand-marked ballots, show up with ID, one day only, and then we'll count the votes. Let's do it.
Yeah, one day only.
They'll do
no
that
by
in
mail.
a heartbeat. But the fact is that we have weeks of voting, absentee ballots. You don't know where they're coming from.
Ballot harvesting.
You don't need identification in some states now with these new rules they enacted. I mean, they gamed the rules so badly, and they twisted the emotions of the progressives to go ahead and follow this whole situation. But yes, if we had the same rules here that they did in Peru, Donald Trump and his followers would take it hands down, like, okay, absolutely, no absentee ballots, no mail-in ballots. Let me see you show, because then you'd have to get all these people to show up for Biden.
You wouldn't
not
get
gonna happen.
And in Peru, like, they were even saying, there's no way she can come back. That's too many votes. I'm like, well, you know what? That happened in America. I'm like, somehow Joe Biden caught up with hundreds of thousands of votes, and they're like, yeah, I was watching that. That there's something fishy with that. Yeah. Like, literally, Peruvians saying, like, that doesn't make any sense because that doesn't, like, that it's very, from the moment he was ahead by like 40,000 votes, they were like, oh, there's no way that she's going to catch up, because it's statistically unlikely. It's statistically improbable. You cannot be comparing two very different situations just because she's on the right and so is Trump. Guess what? Biden's also on the right. She's a global capitalist. Yes, she's a right winger, but in more than anything, she is a global capitalist who wants to privatize Peru and the resources. And guess who's going to be right along with that? The United States, NATO. They're all like in line, whether it was Trump or whether it's Biden. They're all going to fucking fall in line, especially Joe Biden, more even than Donald Trump. And that's a reality that people have to understand, not just like geopolitically, but also like, we like study elections. These elections are completely done in a different way that I think would have pacified some of the people's concerns about just any sort of type of rigging. And if you instead of pacifying those concerns, you mock them, you're going to create a society where people don't trust the system. And I guess that's fine at this point, because who the fuck cares? Who the fuck believes in it? Trust me, I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people who aren't even political don't vote because they feel like our elections are shit. So that apathy doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It happens because we haven't been shown that we can trust the system. So instead of blaming people for not trusting the system, for wanting verification, why don't we fucking fix the system? But no, they don't want to do it. They just want to call everybody a right winger who simply wants election integrity. And I don't have to agree with a lot of this Republican ideology to say we want election integrity. So we could just at least get that, but that is just like ridiculous at this point that I have to keep pointing this out.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of awesome that you mentioned the point that Joe Biden is worse when it comes to the global South and the globalism. He is worse than Donald Trump.
He gets away with it.
He's appointing people like, inside the OAN that are like adversaries to people within the El Salvador government. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he's worse. A lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on. Just like Obama, terrible in the global South, terrible with Venezuela, and then ditto to Donald Trump. So that is that. At BX Comedy also says, keep up the great work, fam. Can't wait to catch you on Catch Fee, Misty, and Sky Daddy tonight and stuff like that. But if you want to watch a little sports, I'm on with Misty on a show before that. So we'll check that out. But that's going to be the crazy show. We're going to just talk about college football, and that's that. Guys, get on over to the Rokfin, Rokfin. We're over 200 people on the YouTubes. Jilly Loves, William Wallace, Censor, Tubbernot, Karen M, all the good people hanging out. Roar Media Live, Angel U with those pencils. We love you too. And the Super Patriot. Get on over to the Rokfin, Rokfin. Another good reason to get over to the Rokfin fam is that I'm wearing my Fuck Censorship shirt for my friend, my good friend, Matt Orfalia. As you know, Matt Orfalia made this awesome video that we showed the other day on Rokfin only because we didn't want to show it on YouTube. It was about ivermectin. Now, we have a personal experience with ivermectin. We spoke about it on the show, but we also had pointed out the fact that drugs like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine are old school drugs that have been working for years on viruses, whatnot. And they are pennies on the dollar for what we are being presented when we get a phone call today. Hi, Mr. Jardula, would you like to come take your vaccine? We got you all set up. I'm like, that's between me and my doctor. Go scratch, click. But Matt Orfalia made this unbelievable video about ivermectin. And the next thing you know, he gets a couple calls. So let's show the first tweet. Hi, last night I received my first YouTube warning when YouTube deleted 3 old videos from my channel that weren't even published. They were private rough cuts I uploaded to test screen quality check. YouTube did not identify other rough cuts as a violation, but I immediately deleted them to be safe. So the kid sees that the fact is they give him a warning on videos that aren't even published, fam. They're private.
Imagine that.
Hello.
Like that's like them going into your computer and saying, we're gonna delete this, we're gonna delete that. That's scary, dude.
Yeah.
That's scary.
At 5 a.m. in the morning, the next tweet, Osland. This morning, YouTube gave me a strike. My first strike for one of the private rough cuts that I had already deleted the night before. They do this shit all the time. The reason is, fam, is that they don't want to give them a strike for the ivermectin thing because then they'll bring attention to it, right? So they go in, they just find another excuse, and they're doing it in your face. Think about it. It's like, we're going to give you a strike for stuff you have said on private, not even public. Shit you have on private. Because they want to send a message. And it was because he made that awesome video about ivermectin. His final tweet, this is wrong on so many levels. It is. That's why I'm wearing the Fuck Censorship shirt. There's so much more to say, but I'm now disabled from uploading or live streaming to YouTube. Please join my email list on Substack.
Is this permanent?
It's just a strike, so he's got a week.
Okay.
But if they did this now, what they're going to say is straighten up and fly right. Is what they're going to do. And this is some fascist shit here, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is fascist shit. For all those little progressives out there go, we got to vote out fascism. What about this shit right here? Whitney Webb told us on this show, when I asked, I said, it's bad now. How's it going to be if Joe Biden gets in? She goes, it's going to be censorship on steroids. Because, once again, we've pointed out that $16 million was given by big tech to Joe Biden's campaign and less than $1 million. They didn't like Donald Trump. They were banking and counting on Joe Biden winning, and they also helped in with their ways twos as well. Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg threw a ton of money in, did some shit that would be considered illegal or treasonous. YouTube says it was for 3 other videos that weren't even public. They were set to private, but we know why he was given the jail sentence, fam. It's the ivermectin video. But guess what, fam? He ain't the only one.
No.
Number 14 slide. On that video that he made, and if you haven't seen the video, go see it. It's awesome. This is from the Western Journal. Censorship alert. Senator Ron Johnson banned on YouTube for COVID treatment comments. Now, this guy has fucking gone after Donald Trump. He's gone after Joe Biden. He's talked about why the hell are you censoring stuff about ivermectin? That's other forms of treatment that are really, really cheap. He did the research on it, whatnot. They are actually giving a strike to a freaking U.S. senator.
I don't put it past them, fam.
Fam, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want. Really? They can break the law. They can sign the Section 230, the agreement that says that they're going to act as a platform and not as a publisher and give special treatment to certain people and not others. They can do that. They can use American satellites. They can be told what to do by the U.S. government. You know what I'm saying? That's a private company. It's the public square. This is freedom of speech. You have to treat everybody equally. So they are picking winners and losers, and they're choosing what can be said and what can't be said. That is the definition of fascism, is when the state merges with the corporations. That's what Benito Mussolini said, and that is what's happening right now. They are setting the narrative. They are not letting you speak. And this is something that's really just disgusting, because we know people, and we said this before, oh my God, why didn't we talk to that people about ivermectin? It could have possibly saved that person's life. James Roguski was ahead of this. Jimmy Ruggs, I love you, James Roguski. He was ahead of this before anybody else. He said, look what's going on. Parts of Peru where you were going from, they're using it, and parts of Africa, why they didn't get hit so hard, because they were taking ivermectin, right, along the Nile so they wouldn't get viruses that would make them blind. So the fact that they're censoring this shit and they're not letting people talk about it is disgusting.
Straight up, people told me ivermectin saved my life in Peru.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Because when you got to the hospital, that meant you were like pretty much on the verge of dying.
Yep.
And because they didn't have enough technology, enough capacity to like deal with everybody at once. And so like, yeah, it was like, oh, take ivermectin, and ivermectin saved people's lives.
Yeah. And the fact that we're not even allowed to talk about it is really disgusting. Here's the article. Big tech's draconian censorship of any information violating the COVID-19 orthodoxy strikes again after YouTube banned Senator Ron Johnson from uploading videos to its platform for 7 days. The development reported by Fox News on June 11 comes after Johnson made controversial remarks advocating for research into early treatments of COVID-19, treatments that would include hydroxychloroquine and the lesser-known ivermectin. YouTube removed a video of Johnson's speech before restricting him from uploading to the platform for 1 week. His offense, the next one, Oz, saying Americans deserve an in-depth professional research into inexpensive on-the-market treatments options for COVID-19. Johnson spoke out against the Trump and Biden administrations for not only ignoring, but working against robust research to the use of cheap generic drugs to be reproposed for early treatment of COVID, according to the Federalist Molly Hemingway. And finally, it says, I thought it was brilliant the way the Trump administration squeezed all of the economic efficiencies out of producing the vaccine. But I think we're still going to need early treatments, he said in the censor video, Hemingway reported. Johnson's allegedly controversial stance questioned why government bureaucracies and the World Health Organization so vehemently reject studying already existing drugs in favor of funding and developing new treatments. So, fam, they don't want you to talk about this stuff. And this is the thing I said, like when Donald Trump was full of shit. Operation Warp Speed. My administration deserves all the credit. Look at my hair. It looks nice. I mean, once again, he was like bragging about this shit. That was another thing. Like, yeah, Donald, you're a part of this whole crap over here. You're part of this whole for show kind of theater. That's it, done with him. But fam, I'm gonna wrap up this sentence, this section right now with this one video, because we're gonna talk about censorship. But your thoughts and your opinions on what's going on. The fact that they could ban a U.S. senator for talking about early treatments, including hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin.
The moment they banned Donald Trump from Twitter, the moment they started the information censorship about Joe Biden and not just his son, but also neo-Nazis in Ukraine and his dealings in Ukraine and all of that. The moment they shut it down on Burisma, right? Like all of that stuff, that was the key, telling you, like, if they can shut down a president, if they can manipulate information, they're going to do that to everybody. And that's what they did. And so now that if they're doing it to all of us, they're obviously going to do it to senators who are not touting their actual propaganda narrative, right? Like, so this is like Orwell meets Huxley meets Philip K. Dick. This is like the dystopian reality that we're living in right now, and it's not an exaggeration.
I watched 1984 the other day. Wow. We're gonna play this video, and while we get this video, we'll get our guest on up. Go ahead, Oz. This is Tanks, Mr. President. You remember this person of Congress over in Ireland, Scotland? And,
Scotland.
The silencing of journalists for exposing the secrets of the powerful is one of the most dangerous things that can happen in a society. I think the standout example, of course, is the case of Julian Assange, who has been incarcerated for almost a decade for exposing American war crimes. The relentless and vicious legal pursuit of Assange by the American security state for exposing their operations and for exposing the crimes of the US military has had the intended effect. It scared off journalists doing the same kind of extraordinary work to unearth the secrets of the most powerful state in the world. Edward Snowden in exile is another warning to any journalist who might seek to genuinely hold imperial power to account. And when we look at aeroplanes being downed to arrest people, we should remember that the plane of elected Bolivian President Evo Morales was downed in an attempt to look for Edward Snowden. So, you know, the work done by these people is an exemplar of how journalism can change the world, and very few journalists can aspire to the standards set by both of these, but the few that do, we must protect them. And our discussions in how to best protect them, we shouldn't forget that the legal threats used to silence journalists can take many forms, and that the problem can be a lot bigger than one politician, one political party, one oligarch, and can actually take in an entire security state apparatus. How we deal with that is a bit of a tougher nut, but I think we should try. Thanks, President.
Thanks, President.
Thanks, President. All right, so I'm going to read some super rays. We got Steve on, Oz?
I don't see Brother Steve. Sorry.
Did we send him a link?
Yeah, we did. He's coming.
All right, we'll get him plugged in. Let's look at super rays.
He's watching.
Guys, get on over to the Rokfin, Rokfin, currently 50 watching on the YouTubes. We have about 260 watching, so go on over.
Some more. Come on, guys.
Sign up for free. Help us out. Fam, here's one of your favorites over here, Emblem Fate.
Emblem Fate, what's up?
You know our elections are corrupted when a clearly demented man is president. What makes you say he's clearly demented? The fact he kind of wandered into that cafe and she was like, right this way, honey. I mean, it's like, it's a joke now at this point.
It is a joke.
I really dislike Biden, but what happened at the EU is clear elder abuse, and it is wrong. Why? The fact he couldn't get Libya and Syria right? He confused the two. And forget about it. The fact that he says Xi Jinping actually thinks he's going to take over this country in 3035. I was watching it with my friend Ungi. He's like, Pasta, that's like 1,000 years. 3035. 3035. What
Xi Jinping is immortal. I wasn't aware, dude.
The transhumanism is here. Keith, thank you so much, Embafate. Keith, Tyra, thank you so much. Kim should be going live last quarter of this year. Looking forward to the YouTube killer. Like creepy Uncle Joe says, vote for the other guy. You can vote for the other Biden is what he said. I mean, he is so clearly demented and it's kind of crazy. I'm the guy who did this. That girl is hanging out on YouTube's That Girl. Get on over to Rokfin for us. Chill out there with us over there. You got a free invitation. Rob Janot, Maurice Mack, Wuhan Institute of Virology. Do you know anything about that goddamn fucking disease? Censored Beatnut and Simon Linger.
What is a beatnut?
I don't know. Well, there's a group called the Beatnuts.
Okay.
Watch out now. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Watch out now. You all know that song. Come on, the Beatnuts. Urban Science, Jade Star. Thank you so much. Maurice Mack. Get on over to Rokfin, Rokfin. Still hit that like button. We got 129 likes up, 0 down. Where are the trolls in the house? We got 41 over on Rokfin and 0 thumbs down over there. Fam, we got no trolls today. We're not doing our job right. If we don't get the trolls in here, they got to get going. So, what should we talk about? Is Steve coming?
Steve, where the hell are you, man? I will cut you. Where are you? Oh, okay.
What do you say?
Oz is about to bring him in, I guess.
All right, Oz, bring him in. Bring in the Kraken.
Okay, so just while Steve comes in, I'm going to go over what basically has been reported is the non-hacktivist commander known as Commander X was detained and extradited into the United States from Mexico. And this is this is what they reported on the Financial Post, right? This notorious anonymous hacker nabbed in Mexico, deported to
the US. Put this up, Oz, while we're waiting for Steve. The notorious anonymous one right there. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and so this is from Bloomberg. A group of homeless men and women in California were protesting the city of Santa Cruz's decades-old prohibition against overnight encampments in August of 2010 when police officers attempted to disband the rally by detaining protesters. Among those arresters was Christopher Doyen, then a 45-year-old vagabond, according to press reports. Doyen, who goes by the online name Commander X, also happened to be a member of the hacking group Anonymous. And 3 months after the protest, someone knocked out Santa Cruz's county's website, according to a 2011 federal indictment unsealed Monday. It took more than a decade for the U.S. to get Doyen into custody. He was deported from Mexico on June 11th, literally a few days ago, according to the Department of Justice. He'll face charges for both the cyber attacks against Santa Cruz County and for ducking those federal charges back in 2011. The Justice Department said in a statement that after Dwayne appeared before a federal judge in San Jose, although Dwayne escaped U.S. law enforcement for the last 10 years, he didn't shy away from telling his story. In a documentary produced by the Canadian public television channel TVO called The Face of Anonymous, Dwayne is seen waving a copy of the indictment. And so he was in Mexico. We know, friends with our fams, Steve Poikonen. They took him. And, this is the thing that gets me about this is how they describe him and everything. But what was he really doing? It's kind of helping homeless people, right? So we're in a society where you are persecuted for doing the right thing. Again, guys, morality does not always fit with whatever law is at play. It just doesn't, right? There's a difference between the law and morality. What is morally right isn't always what is the law. Slavery was legal before, women couldn't vote. So if you're going to go by, we must obey the law. Well, let me tell you, the law isn't always just. And so the things that have been happening to it's just to whistleblowers, to people who are, just anons, right? It's like they're trying. Some of these people are trying to really do good, are trying to really just, because if you think about it, the worst criminals are the ones that run free, the ones that are president, the ones that are oligarchs, and they get away with every crime just beyond any scope that we could possibly get away with. Like there's no way we could get away with doing these things, and they get away with it brilliantly.
So what's going on?
I don't see Steve in the waiting room. Is he like in a waiting room somewhere in the stars?
He's right here. He sent me a picture. He's in the waiting room. Let's see. He says he's there.
Tell him to put his name in and join.
Put your name and join.
And join. You have to join. Sorry.
I'm really counting on the Anons to save us. They, somebody's got to pick up where WikiLeaks left off, right? You know what I'm saying? And the Anons can come up with some information. Hopefully, I would like to hear phone conversations. I'd like to see emails, whatnot, of people talking, behind the scenes. And what WikiLeaks showed us when it came to those DNC emails was just eye-opening. And I can't believe that we're still at a spot right now where people are still, progressives are still fighting up, and supporting the Democratic Party after what Julian Assange showed us. It's kind of freaking scary, if you ask me. By the way, we have another super chat contribution. Faja Bueno, thank you for the super rate contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch, and it really is, guys. I know I make a joke about it and stuff, but this stuff really helps us out, especially with the suppression from YouTube. That's why I have my fuck censorship shirt on. AREM is here as well. We have a society where winners lose and losers win. That's right. You know what I'm saying? It's the whole thing about that George Orwell quote is in the very beginning. It says, who controls the present controls the past. And it also controls the future. You know what I'm saying? It's like so weird because like whoever writes history creates history, can tell the history we want. We talk about empire education all the time. It's what they're telling us, not what really happens. And that's the people in control right now, controlling the present. They actually control the past. Where sophistry and nonsense, we are told, is something where we should just agree to disagree. Tick, 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 tick is not the countdown to progressive change, but oligarchs running out the clock, delaying, obfuscating, distracting, and propping up their champions who offensively target and smear leftists and leftism as their existential threat. It's always the leftist fam that are going to be the threat.
Yeah, and anti-imperialist. I mean, however you fall on the line, I mean, pretty much, like anybody that's a threat to the state agencies, the status quo. And we have our friend here,
Steven.
Steve,
how are you, Steven?
What's up?
How's it going, y'all? It is lovely to see you. It is
very lovely to see you.
Well, usually when I call you Steven, you usually call me Craig. Can you at least do that? Hi, Steven.
Hey, Craig.
He doesn't play. Yeah, he doesn't play team sports.
I was going to.
He doesn't.
I don't do tricks.
Steve, we know you don't do tricks, but we wanted to have you on to talk about Commander X because you pointed out how important the story is and how just very few people are talking about it. I've seen your tweets in support. Can you let us know? I mean, we were kind of talking about it, but we want to hear from you, from the the activists. What led to his arrest? What's going on right now? Just update us on the situation.
So, Commander X, high-profile hacktivist, has I'm getting a pretty gnarly echo. I don't know how to fix that.
We don't hear it. But
Okay. High-profile hacktivist had just spent a decade about eluding the FBI, stemming from some DDoS charges here in Santa Cruz, 2011. X was at the peace camp that Keith McHenry helped set up here. Santa Cruz County had some particularly draconian measures against homeless that was being protested. There was a 30-day sleep-in in front of the courthouse, culminating in a DDoS attack that led to the incarnation of Commander X taking the public stage for the next several years. He was on the run from the FBI. He was participating in anonymous operations by his own admission in his own books. And in 2019 was granted political asylum and refugee status in Mexico. That's when I started getting to know him because in the ensuing couple of years, you know, we've become fairly close. On Friday, the place where he was living now, is a gated community and a bunch of pretty standard in Mexican, like the individual states, to have like neighborhoods that are gated off. It's not like X was rolling in dough or anything like that. It was like a Beverly Hills gated community. It's just a neighborhood with a wall around it. And there's a gate guard. The gate guard was approached by two men who showed U.S. credentials. Gate guard let him in. X's landlady said, if you don't have any paperwork to accompany this, I can't help you. You need to kick rocks. They came back in plainclothes with a U.S. embassy official. U.S. embassy official distracts the guy at the gate while the guys in plainclothes hop the wall, break into X's house, and drag him out while he is on the phone with his friend, who is also a human rights attorney. At that point, we got involved in it, and now we're scrambling to try and get the word out about this because his asylum was violated, his refugee status was violated. The Mexican government on some level would have had to have signed off on this and revoked his asylum status or his refugee status, much in a similar way that Julian Assange's was from Ecuador before he was trafficked out of the embassy and renditioned over to Belmarsh. X's lawyer friend and the woman who was, helping take care of him were blatantly lied to by the Mexican Immigration Department, who told them, come back on Monday with an injunction. We'll get this sorted out. X was already on his way to the Santa Rita jail outside of Oakland, where he is right now. And we're waiting on some developments in his legal representation and next court date before we even really know what all he's going to be charged with. When a court date, ensuing court date will be. He's only been arraigned at this point. He's being charged with the 2011 DDoS attack that, in all honesty, thousands of computers participated in. There is no way whatsoever to prove that X did it. Now, he has taken credit for it, but there's no way that he ran more than 1,000 computers to do that attack. So there's, that could be braggadocio. It could be him trying to pad the legend of Commander X. There's no way to prove that.
Steve, I'm just joking around. My bad. Steve, Commander X. You were able to get close with the guy. You set us up with a great show. We were able to talk about the elections and how these tabulation machines can get hacked, and it went from far away, whatnot. And you've developed a good relationship with the guy. Why? Why in the world does the U.S. want to go get this guy now? Is it because he's been doing shows like your show and our show and been getting his kind of name out there and telling the truth about what he experienced as a hacker, as an anon? What in your mind is the real reason the United States government wants him now?
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right? Except for in this case, the old boss is the new boss, and the new boss is actually the old boss because he was the vice president when this war on hacktivists and leaktivists and public disclosure outlets was spawned. So a documentary about X came out last week called The Face of Anonymous. X had been doing his show for a little bit. We helped Keith McHenry get Wi-Fi to Freedom Camp, which is the homeless camp in Santa Cruz now. Like, it's all kind of come around full circle. But Marty G, who was one of the old school Anons turned conservative blogger, his defense fund got taken down on Friday at the same time that X was arrested. Barrett Brown just got new sealed charges. Emmy Best's organization, hacking organization, DDoS Secrets, their servers got taken down and confiscated again. And their Twitter account was banned. The attacks on information activists, especially ones who gained notoriety when Biden was vice president, have escalated to an alarming and frightening degree just in the last week or so, right after Joey B says we're launching a war on cyber criminals. We're going to do something about these ransomware attacks that have been crippling our infrastructure that are totally the Russians and hacktivists and not the FBI, who, by the way, also probably orchestrated the January 6th events, which is what is all over the news today. I mean, we called that on the ground that day, you know, but it's funny that it's now breaking news 6 months later. I don't want to get too much into that. Just
get used to it, Steve. Not that doesn't happen all the time.
Bring it back to X and where we're at here. There's a Twitter account, Free Commander X _. The original Free Commander X Twitter account was started by Commander X. It is now confiscated, and we can only assume that eventually some bright spark from the FBI is going to get on that account and start tweeting out. But Free Commander X _ it's where you'll find all of the accurate and real-time updates. The account is in constant contact with X's family. We'll be working with X's legal team as far as, like, you know, media navigation and announcements and things like that.
How old is Commander
We're doing
X right
updates.
now?
We're doing live stream updates on Anonymous Bites Back pretty much every day. It'll be one of those tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. How old is Commander X? I want you to get a sense of what's going on, because I remember when I first got a chance to do that show with Commander X, a lot of it had to do with, like, you know, I'm getting old. The time has come, my health, let's get it out there, because I'm really nervous right now with this situation taking place that we won't get a chance to see Commander X ever again. And it's really scary because the guy talked about a lot of great stuff and also kind of gave you some insight to what Anons are and what Anons are doing. After that show with you, Steve, I was like, we need the Anons to save us. We need them to give us the information that's being hid from us behind closed doors, behind closed computers, behind, you know, all these, like the DNC leaks, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to get you to give a little saying how old Commander X is, and, you know what I'm saying, if there's a chance we'll get a chance to see him again.
So he's pushing 60. He's just shy of 60. He'll be 57 in a couple of months. And in poor health. In January of this year, he gave us what he thought was going to be his last interview. And it was really, really difficult. Never had to do that before. It was definitely an experience. But because there are people that care about him, because he had people, they had people in his corner. In the last several months, his health has improved significantly to the point to where he was ready to do live streams again, to where he wanted to get his voice out a little bit more, because he recognizes what we all recognize, Pasta. There's a narrowing window of opportunity for people to freely assemble and genuinely resist the oncoming technocratic panopticon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just everything's coming true. Everything that we feared, unfortunately, is coming true, Steve. And one other thing we wanted to go over, because a lot of people have just gone at you guys, specifically in the Assange community, the Assange activists, Action for Assange, that you never mentioned Reality Winner. And I have seen you guys constantly, Misty in particular too, mention Reality Winner. And I just wanted to bring that up because she is now free. Reality Winner is free, and this is a good thing.
Ish.
And that's, fine. It's being reported. Her WikiLeaks let out a tweet. I'm just gonna read it real quick. The WikiLeaks tweet: Oz breaking, an attorney for Reality Winner says the former NSA translator is to be released from prison for good behavior. And so that is now official. And also her lawyer posted this whole thing, some very exciting news,
the tweet
for Reality Winner and her family. And that should be the slide 23.
There it is.
She said, I am thrilled to announce that Reality Winner has been released from prison. She's still in custody in the residential reentry process, but we are relieved and hopeful. Reality and her family have asked for privacy during the transition. Her release is not a product of a pardon or compassionate release process, but rather the time earned for exemplary behavior while incarcerated. She's still barred from public statements or appearances, and any inquiries will be handled through her office, through the lawyer's office. So, Steve, give us your take on the freedom of Reality Winner and why it's a good thing, or whatever you think it is.
I mean, she never should have been incarcerated in the first place. She was literally incarcerated for no reason whatsoever, and became the longest serving U.S. citizen to be in prison over an Espionage Act charge. An Espionage Act charge that it's spurious, and ultimately I think that Reality Winner was punished more because the documents shot holes in Russiagate instead of bolster and fortify Russiagate. So they used this breach of protocol excuse in this Espionage Act that's just waiting there to make sure that people who are trying to get accurate information about their government out are punished as a result of their act of heroism. And she's, really the ultimate victim of that senseless, abusive overreach passing as a piece of legal legislation. We read off the number of days that Reality Winner was incarcerated at the beginning of each Free Assange vigil. We had her mother and sister on a couple of times, had Reality Winner's mother at least on Anonymous Bites Back. The thing is, when you do activism, there are people who make a cottage industry around trolling that activism and trying to throw shade on or muddy the waters of that activism. So even when you take something so completely on its face false and so immediately debunkable, like this particular crew doesn't talk about Reality Winner, what it does is it immediately makes us stop the advocacy that we're already doing to go and address some pointless shit. And that's the purpose that it serves. is to waste our time and to make us be like, are you kidding me? All it takes, you look once, on anything that we've ever done and put out on an Assange vigil, and Reality Winner is mentioned, if not highlighted specifically on that episode. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I see a lot of distractions going on right now. This whole TYT Jimmy thing, I think, is distracting us from talking about a lot of serious issues out there. But on Reality Winner, can you just give us the gist of what exactly she released and how it put holes in the whole Russiagate narrative? Because a lot of people don't understand exactly who and what Reality Winner did.
Reality Winner was a low-level NSA analyst, and she came across some documents that apparently, the story goes, she thought proved that the Russians done hacked our freedom and our elections and our voting machines, and that became part of the Russiagate narrative, while never once mentioning that they put someone in prison over. If you actually read that Intercept article, which is almost impossible to find now, and you go and you pull those documents up, what they show is a bunch of uncertainty, a bunch of leaping to conclusions, a bunch of trying to work backwards from a predetermined conclusion to build your case around it, and no direct evidence whatsoever that there was Russian interference or even outside interference. In fact, when they talk about these phishing scams to try and obtain email addresses from people who work for Board of Elections or Board of Supervisors or whatever, even in those documents, it says there's no conclusive evidence that any of this worked.
Yeah. So she pretty much shot holes and the whole Russiagate theory from the NSA. She worked for the NSA. So the NSA punished her by putting her behind bars for releasing that document. And yet nobody really talked about this whole single time while Rachel Maddow and everybody else was going Russia, Russia, Russia. We had somebody who worked at the NSA expose that it really wasn't Russiagate, that they didn't have a lot of evidence behind it. And she sat and she rotted in prison until just yesterday.
But here's the thing, like, if you were to ask her, or you were to ask her family, or you were to ask her supporters, they all believed she was exposing Russia because nobody knows how to read national security documents. And so it's like, if all you're doing is just sort of casually glancing at it and you're only reading what the Intercept had to say about it, of course you would come to the conclusion that it was exposing Russia. But because she went to the Intercept, and because the Intercept is the ultimate whistleblower honeypot, she got sold up the river.
Right.
The Intercept did their job. They got another notch in their incarcerated whistleblower belt. Everybody got a promotion. It allowed Ryan Grimm to become the instant least successful host of Rising ever. And here we are.
Yeah, and they obfuscated all the information out there, and they try to make it like the public, like, here's Reality Winner showing that Russia was involved with the hacking of our elections, and it was just the opposite. It was just more holes than Swiss cheese, correct?
Yeah, no, it was appears to be, or may have, or is likely to, in terms of the phraseology that's being used in the documents. At no point, Pasta and Fee, anywhere in those documentation does it say we have certainty that this took place. We can prove that this took place. So even around the reporting with Reality Winner, the limited reporting that there was, it was always this reinforcement with the qualifying phrase that nobody pays attention to with the may haves or looks likes or whatever, with reasonable certainty is one of the phrases they use, which means they have no idea. Everybody in the intelligence community will tell you that. They've got a lot of ways of telling you they don't know. They've only got one way of telling you they know, and that is to show you the actual evidence.
Exactly.
I was gonna say last question, or you want one more? Or no.
No, go
I
ahead.
just want to say before we get you out of here, Steve. Digressing back to our boy Commander X, best case, worst case scenario for him, and what you're hoping for. Obviously, you're hoping for the best case. But,
yeah, I mean, we're obviously we're hoping that we can draw enough attention to this case and highlight the criminality on behalf of the United States to where he's allowed to go back to Mexico, maybe apply for asylum in a country that won't sell him out. I mean, that's the other thing. Nobody knows what gets to happen afterwards when a country violates your asylum. What happens after that is going to be an experiment. And the thing that sucks is that it's going to be done on an ailing man who's approaching 60 years of age, who's been professionally homeless for like 2 decades. That does really get to your body when you're sleeping outdoors in your 30s, 40s, and 50s.
yeah,
That's hell on your body. So I don't know. I'd be worst case scenario, United States gets their way. He does 17 years on a 30-year CFAA bid, and that's it. Like one of the most prolific and high profile hackers in American history dies in prison because the US was allowed to illegally kidnap him, violating his refugee status and taking him back to where he would face a kangaroo court, on Biden's war on journalism. Continued war on journalism. Can you believe that Donald Trump was only just a stepping stone to the Obama-Biden war on the truth?
Yeah. One last thing, Steve, before you tell everybody where they can find you. So you believe that the Mexican government somehow
sold him out?
Sold him out?
I can't I can't say with any certainty, but you don't get to a point to where X's house is broken into and he's kidnapped with knowing that there's paperwork that exists. We've seen it, we've posted it online, showing that he can't be extradited or renditioned while he has refugee status.
Right.
So that, I mean, that agreement has been violated. It's not like you can say it was the Mexican government, because we know that it's government's made up of individuals, and a limited number of individuals would be read in on something like that anyway. So there would have to be elements within the Mexican government that allowed this to happen, actively participated in allowing it to happen. But as to who they are or what was done, I don't know. I know Kamala Harris was in town. I know that X had just really, the documentary about him had just come out. If the FBI was feeling salty, that would be the kind of thumb in the eye that would maybe, spur a particularly ideologically motivated special agent to want to go, get the one that got away or what. I don't know how these fucking guys think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with
but,
the whole
it seems to be a revenge kidnapping, and it, huh?
No, I was just saying with the whole colonial pipeline thing, and we're blaming Russia now. It seems like they're amping up to do this right now and start going after people that they didn't get while, Trump's administration was there. Now the old guys are back in play, and they want these guys, and they want to sell this narrative that it's Russia hackers, illegal hackers. I bet you they're going to say that Commander X is part Moscowian, You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's going to be part Russian, or he was working for the Russians, is what they'll say eventually. But I think all the Anons right now, Steve, if they're sitting on something,
and no, real quick,
release
X
the
came
hounds.
out right after the Colonial Pipeline hack, and we were on a live stream with him, and he goes, so one of the dark side hackers took off with the keys to the crypto wallet, and they think that he was a Fed, and they think that he set up the rest of the crew, and that this was, you know, kind of an FBI driven, you know, American government driven hack on Colonial. And he goes, you watch, in a matter of days, the Biden administration or Colonial is going to come out and say, hey, we got all our money back. And then like 10 days later, they came out and they were like, hey, we got almost all our money back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, X came out and said that on stream. And the way that he said it, because he likes to create an aura of mystique about himself, the way that he said it made it seem like he might have talked to somebody. And I don't know. I do know that all of those streams are heavily monitored. I do know that they've got a Kevin just waiting around, you know, lurking in the background. And so we haven't talked about Kevin in a while. We have.
Yeah, I miss Kevin. He's around.
But I mean, you know, it's who knows what motivates these people to do these horrible things. But I know that it's incumbent on all of us as free-thinking, liberty-minded individuals to resist this tyranny.
Yep.
Well, I'm saying this much, Steve. We got to get you out of here. We love you, but you should tell the Anons right now. Release the hounds. Release. Let's start. I am so sick and tired of this government getting away with what they're getting away with. I know. I mean, if anybody can save us. And it really is a shame because the WikiLeaks emails showed us that they're doing shit behind our back, but a lot of Americans still didn't care.
Yep.
They were still but Trump. But if there's any information out there, release the hounds.
Steve, let everybody know where they can find you.
SlowNewsDayShow.com is the website. Please make that your first stop. That's got the full archive of the show. I want to get people used to going to websites again. I think that needs to happen. Get people away from this model of going to a social media news aggregate for all of their information. Kind of got to diversify this a little bit. Rokfin.com/SlowNewsDay. That's probably the best way to support the show. I am going to be going on the road in a week. I'm going to meet up with the West Coast leg of the Home Run for Julian tour. John and Gabriel Shipton are in the United States advocating on Julian's behalf. They're doing a multi-city tour. They'll be in Chicago tomorrow, working their way west. 23rd of June, Denver, Colorado, 5 to 7 p.m. at the state capitol or state house. There will be a public rally there. I'm going to be emceeing that. And then Portland, San Francisco, Oakland, 28th and 29th, you guys, Los Angeles, California. I'm going to be trying to pull up some couch for that.
Only if you eat pasta.
July 1st. Of course. July 1st. Washington D.C. final stop of the tour. And that's when my filming will end. I'm going to turn all the footage I shoot into a documentary. July 3rd and July 4th, Los Angeles, California. Julian Assange turns 50 on July 3rd. We have yet to plan it, but we're throwing a party. And then we would like to maybe hijack or co-op the 4th of July and turn it into something that actually resembles striving for freedom and independence. So lots going on with Slow News Day. In the meantime, we're also on Aftermath FM and iHeartRadio every Sunday, same time as our regular show. Big stuff going on, big stuff coming up, and nonstop advocacy on behalf of our political prisoners.
Well, we look forward to it, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, for
Yeah.
that round down
Round
situation.
around.
We
Look forward
appreciate
to
you.
cooking you for you, buddy. So,
We appreciate you coming in. We'll see you when you're here in LA. Give you couch space.
Yeah.
We
and
welcome
remember,
you.
Steve, you're always appreciated on this couch.
Steve, give him the death stare. Give him the death stare, Steve.
We got it.
Laughing
That's
too
Steve
hard,
poking
Doc.
in everybody. We love you, Stevie.
We love you, Steve. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Steve poking in there, ladies and gentlemen. We love our friends. God, I love his show. He's got a great call-in
I
show.
forgot to show him. I'm wearing his little
The
pin.
Steve pin. Look, Steve, you just in case you're
I'm
still
wearing
watching.
his little pin.
Get your shit together, fam, is the name of the show.
Yeah.
You can call on in. You get some great
Fridays.
people calling in. Some people called in, they disagree with him. Some people called in that are actually on the Rokfin platform. Jaime called in the show. Just great guests. I've heard Shadow Band Refugee call in on that show before. Get your shit together. It's an awesome show. Check out Slow News Day. They talk about the stuff that a lot of other people don't talk about, but it's important to understand. I mean, literally, they went in and they grabbed Commander X, and he's been talking and promoting him, Commander X, for the last 6 months, 7 months, helping Commander tell his stories. I did a show. I got on Commander X's shows, and we talked about the elections. There's a reason why they're going to go into Mexico and grab this sucker, okay? Because he's got the goods. So, Steve swinging in the right place. Slow News Day, Glory, Allie, the whole 9 yards. We love you.
Sleepy J.
Sleepy J. Sleepy J. Just a quick couple super rays. We'll get on to the next one. M. Meridian. Thank you for the super ray contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Shadow Band Refugee is still there. The question that faces humanity today is no longer socialism or barbarianism, but unequivocally anarchy or annihilation. Free our political prisoners, outlaw the state. Let's do that, Shadow Band Refugee. Let's storm the gates. Joni Bug, thank you so much for the Super Ray contribution. It's always appreciated on the couch. Thank you for covering these important stories. Thank you so much for watching. 63 watching on the Rokfin, 260 watching on the YouTubes. Let's get on over there. Let's support us on Rokfin because that's where the censorship on YouTube is getting us, and we need to get away from it. Fam? We're not going to take too long on this story, but I really wanted to do this because we had this situation, and I had to change the title, but I was trying to get the gist of what's going on. Is we have a lot of Democrats now, not only Republicans, but Democrats going, well, you got to understand something. All the players have bad people over here. There's bad guys on all sides. What does that actually mean, fam? Because to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that manufactures consent for us doing our imperialism all over the place, whether we be on the left or the right in the United States. Yeah. It seems like imperialism is what's for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are bad people everywhere, but the United States, when they say that, they have the ultimate goal of making people think that Russians and the Chinese are the worst adversaries. And then you have idiotic, progressive, useful idiots repeating these same talking points, calling everybody a tanky who disagrees with them, saying, oh, you guys are pro-China, you guys are pro-Russian, you love Russian oligarchs, there's imperialism in Russia too. And it's like, well, yeah, there's oligarchs everywhere, there's bad people everywhere. We all know this. It's kind of like when people say Black Lives Matter, somebody's like, all lives matter. It's the same fucking shit. It's like we're pointing out that there's an imperialism that the United States acts on like no other. We have military bases all over the world. You cannot compare that to Russia and China. Yeah. While there may be, Putin might be a right-wing leader who does shit that we don't always agree with. When you manufacture consent, when you say, oh, like they're equally as imperialistic, no, they're not.
Yeah,
that's a fucking lie.
And let's be honest too, he might be right wing when it comes to social issues, but his economic issues, it's more of a leftist ideology over there as far as medicine and socialism and that's concerned. And that's what's going on in Peru too. A lot of people aren't understanding that. It's like economically they're leftist, but what you consider left, socially they're conservative, but they just need some time to get there. They have poor people, religion, it takes time, so we should allow them to get their own,
not even allow them. It's none of your fucking business. You're not better than any other country. Clearly they have better elections than we do, and coming at it from a place of, we must let them know that they need to be more civilized is still as like fucking like imperialist and racist as all it will be. And like that's the tendency of the Western left, is to try to like impose their own ideology onto how everybody else operates in this dual like left-right paradigm when it's much more complex than that.
Yep. That's awesome, fam. And because you said that's none of your fucking business. And but also too, I just want to point out before we get started in the section that a lot of the bad behavior from these people that they're all bad guys on their side has to do with the reaction to America's imperialism having our boot on their neck. Yeah. It's a reaction to our actions, because our actions is to go around, resource extract everything, make sure our monetary system's everywhere. We want to globally control. I don't want to say we, the deep state, the predator class of the West wants to control the world. And that's it. They want to control fucking space at this point right now. So it's just odd. And then we turn around as we're saying, they're a bad guy. They're a bad guy. We go around and we support the worst regimes, the worst monarchies, the worst dictators of all time, including insider over here. Saudi Arabia executes a 26-year-old man for protesting against the government when he was a teen, human rights group says. And this is a picture of the gentleman right here. And this is Mustafa Al-Dwarish. He was 17 years old when he supposedly protested against the government, and they just executed him right now. So here are some of the PowerPoints. Saudi Arabia executed a 26-year-old for protesting against the government. Reprieve said Mustafa Al-Dwarish was arrested in May 2015. Al-Dwarish's family received no advance notice of his execution, according to Human Rights Group. And here in the article, it says Saudi Arabia has executed a young man over his reported involvement in anti-government protests when he was a teenager, fam, Human Rights Group said Tuesday. The Saudi Ministry of Interior announced that Mustafa Al-Dwarish, 26, has been executed, according to Reprieve. Al-Dwarish's family received no advance notice of his death and only learned that he had been executed by reading the news online. The UK-based nonprofit organization said Al-Dwarish was arrested in May 2015 and charged with offenses related to his participation in the protest, many which occurred when he was 17 years old. According to Reprieve, Al-Dwarish was placed in solitary confinement. Reprieve, was placed in solitary confinement and beaten so badly that he lost consciousness several times. To make the torture stop, he confessed to the charges against him. Amnesty International, which had called for the execution to be halted last week, said Al-Dwarish was the latest victim of Saudi Arabia's deeply flawed justice system, which regularly sees people sentenced to death after grossly unfair trials based on confessions extracted through tortures. Al-Dwarish recanted his confession at the trial, explaining to the court that he had been tortured, but he was still sentenced to death. And that's all she wrote, fam. And it's just crazy that we're going to sit here. We're going to point the finger. This monarch, this dictatorship, this sense of evilness, this draconian freaking faction exists only because of the United States.
Right. 100%.
Remember that. So this kid's death at 17 was on his hands. Now you think about this, all you progressives, when you're going out there marching in the streets, you're blowing your whistles, you're screaming and stuff like that. That's what this kid was doing. And they executed him.
Yep.
And we let it stand by. And what do? We constantly prop up this fucking monarchy. And Donald Trump, the same thing. This is the thing too as well. When Tulsi Gabbard said something like, you have your nose up their ass. What did he say? You're their bitch.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia's bitch.
And it's all about money. It's all about the petrol. Yep. It's all about the bling bling, but we don't give a shit when it comes to human rights. Here's Mark Sloboda said Saudi Arabia firm U.S. and European ally. Firm U.S. and European ally. Firm U.S. and imperialism European ally. No matter what atrocity they get up to, because beyond the selectivity weaponized rhetoric of human rights and values, it's geopolitics that really matters.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we don't care about
this
fucking human rights.
On NATO's hands. This blood is on NATO's hands. U.S. NATO-backed murders. We continue supplying Saudi Arabia with weapons, with funding. Same thing with Israel. Same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of Israel aircraft bombed Gaza just days into the new government, fam.
But I thought Bibi was gone and everything would magically come and just be beautiful and flowers would grow. Yeah,
there was rainbows.
They were dancing in the street shouting death to Arabs.
Yeah.
So
I think it was Shadow Man Refugee said never leapfrog a unicorn because you might get hurt. And it says after the day of rising tensions, which saw far right march in Jerusalem, which you talked about, there were some incendiary balloons launched from Gaza. Israel's new coalition government ordered strikes against Hamas. And it just says in Gaza City. Go ahead,
there's Democrats in the coalition government. There's leftists. I thought that meant that they would just everything would be fine.
No, yeah. I just want to read the first paragraph, Oz. It says, Gaza City, the Israeli military said Wednesday that it had conducted airstrikes in the Gaza Strips. Officials said that the militant group Hamas had set incendiary balloons. Fam, they were celebrating a birthday. Into southern Israel from Gaza in the first eruption of hostility since an 11-day air war between Israel and Hamas ended last month. Now, first of all, it's not an air war between Israel and Hamas. It was just an air war with Israel because they were launching friggin' goddamn guided missiles while they,
targeted. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so they always make it seem like it's a both-sided conflict. No, it's not. There's a picture of the missiles. Remember the old boss, fam?
Same as you, boss fam.
There you go. So now we go around. We support these democracies, they say, these dictatorships, and that manufacturers consent for us to go, okay, all right, but look at the bad guys over here, fam. Like, I mean, I know that we're kind of out of line and we go a little bit crazy with our imperialism, but Putin's a bad guy. Putin's an ex-KGB guy, you know what I'm saying? So this was before this morning, which there's going to be a lot to report to on Friday, a lot of chicanery from Zombie Joe. Biden will warn Putin the U.S. will respond forcefully if Russia continues its reckless and aggressive actions, Blinken says. And here are the bullet points. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Biden will warn President Putin against further aggressive actions. Biden is expected to meet with the Russian president for the first time Wednesday. Their meeting follows a string of major cyber attacks in the U.S. that are believed to originated in Russia. Well, we just had some guy who just got arrested who told you it wasn't about Russia. It seemed like it was like an inside job.
FBI.
And that's the whole thing. And he's still talking about the elections. There's no proof of these elections. Putin denies. Putin laughs at it.
Yeah.
He laughs at it. And he's like, are you serious?
They
and stuff
accuse
like that.
them of everything. So why wouldn't he laugh?
In the mainstream media does their part of trying to demonize Putin. Oh, Putin's about whataboutism. Oh, Putin this and that. Just watch the end of this video right here, how the mainstream media gets all serious about this little theater that they're trying to put on. Here's the video. Do we got volume on it, Oz?
Ahead of tomorrow's crucial summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, today President Biden's meeting with leaders of the Europe. Ahead of tomorrow's crucial summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, today President Biden's meeting with leaders of the European Union, tackling a series of thorny challenges facing its allies, from the coronavirus to trade disputes and new challenges posed by a rising China. But the president's biggest focus, that face-to-face with Putin.
If he chooses not to cooperate and acts in a way that he has in the past relative to cybersecurity and some other activities, then we will respond.
The White House says the president will confront Russia on its election interference in the U.S. and Europe, and the recent surge in ransomware attacks on the U.S. food and gas supply that the U.S. blames on Russian hackers. In NBC News' World Exclusive with Putin, he denied Russia was behind those attacks.
Mr. President, are you waging a cyber war against America?
Where is the evidence? Where is proof? It's becoming farcical.
The U.S. intelligence community has produced evidence of Russian hackers targeting the federal government and meddling in elections. And some Republicans argue President Biden is not being tough enough on Putin.
He's said a lot of things, but we haven't seen a lot of action. He's not going into this summit and this particular meeting with Putin from a position of strength.
Mr. Biden saying he's ready to confront Putin tomorrow.
He's bright, he's tough, and I have found that he is as they say when he used to play ball, a worthy adversary.
And we're learning more details this morning, Peter, on how the president is preparing for this meeting.
Yes, Savannah, that's exactly right. I'm told days before departing the U.S. for Europe, President Biden huddled in the Roosevelt Room at the White House with about 10 experts on Russia from outside of the White House, including some who formerly worked for former President Trump. This lasted for 2 hours this session, where they discussed a range of views, I'm told, about how to deal with Vladimir Putin from those who have interacted with him in the past. Remember, President Biden has only met with Putin once before. One person telling me of the president, he is not winging it. He's putting a lot of time and attention.
He's taking it serious, fam. He's going to get there. He had a bunch of people huddle up in the Rose Room as intelligence has reported evidence that they hacked our elections and they are doing ransomware on our food, gas industries.
Yeah,
Your thoughts, fam?
Biden was eating milk and cookies while all of that was going on. Yeah, dude. What was that saying? They've demonized Putin and they Putinized Russia.
Yeah.
Like literally, this is again just. I mean, God, I would laugh if I were Putin too. I would just laugh in their face. Like what? And the U.S. has produced evidence. What evidence?
Yeah.
What evidence? They'll just say it, but they won't ever give it to you. What
evidence?
Fucking evidence.
Oh, they had
where
memes out there. The Bernie Sanders meme like this, fam. When he was going like this with the arm, and we get the arm in there, and he was rainbow colored. That swung the election.
That did.
I mean, really,
that did it for me. Yeah.
There was like no evidence, but look how the mainstream media does their job, fam.
Yeah, they're propagandists.
They
we know
are.
this.
They're PR firm for the predator class and all these fucking wannabe elites, pieces of crap. And, you know, it allows us to have this whole kind of... This is the other country that has the nuclear weapons, guys. There's 3 countries that have a lot of nuclear weapons. One of them being China, one of them being Russia, one of them being the United States. And as far as China is concerned, what do we do now? Okay, well, here it is. Ronald Reagan, the CSG, enters the South China Sea, upholds freedom of
As
the
he said he
seas
would.
of commandment. So
He said he would.
Yep, he said he was going to do it. And you can see there's a picture of an EA-18 Growler attached to the electronic squadron. This is going into the South China Sea. And we have a quote here. And it's like when I had my guest on last week and stuff like that. He goes, what about what China's doing in the South China Sea? I said, where? The South China Sea, what they're doing. I said, the where? The South China Sea. It has the word China in the sea. That's who we're upset about China going in the South China
being
Sea.
in the China Sea. Yeah.
Oh my God,
it pisses me off too.
It's like if China was off the coast of like the Atlantic coast over here. They're near Cuba with all these weapons and stuff. How dare and they were going, why are they getting so mad over here? Because we're no. The South China Sea is pivotal to the free flow of commerce that fuels the economies of those nations committed to international law and rules based on order, said Admiral William Pennington, commander of the Ronald Reagan Carrier Group Strike Group, who's in there. In other words, this is the guy who's on the ship right now with all the weapons, all the planes. It is both a privilege and a pleasure to work alongside our allies, partners, and joint service teammates to provide a full spectrum support to key maritime commons and ensure all nations continue to benefit from a free and open Indo-Pacific region. So you see how they say we're working with our allies and partners.
Yeah.
Same code. It's like it's tribal. It's our team versus their team. It's maritime commons. Oh, it's supposed to be free flow over here. There's not supposed to be any issues and stuff like that. They're just manufacturing consent to go into China's areas, whatnot.
And when you talk about China and Russia, you will find that the Republicans and the Democrats are in a strong alliance for having pro-imperialist stances. Of course, like in the establishment, any sort of all of that goes away. They become best friends when it comes to that. The Republicans saying he's not being tough all the time, and it's the same shit. It's the same shit. No, it doesn't matter who's in power.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing right now. It's like I was watching Cruz and DeSantis talk about China and everything like that. They're back to their old tricks again. They're back to their old neoconservative ways. Donald Trump, Joe Biden isn't being tough enough on China.
The guys,
fuck
they
off.
never change. It's not. I don't even think it's their old tricks. It's like they never fucking change. It's all just to appeal to their little audience, and then they go back. They always have to touch on the imperialists because that's what you need to do to be in fucking Congress now, is be a fucking imperialist.
And they never talk about how we got there.
Nope.
They never talk about that. They don't go back to history. When they talk about the Uyghurs, they don't talk about Operation Mongoose and what the United States did in that region to fund the Mujahideen, how they got Stinger missiles in there. They used the Uyghurs to do so. So they radicalized them. They had this group, whatnot. You can think about this is the group that delivered the missiles into Afghanistan, where it was in the Uyghur region. But we don't talk about Operation Mongoose. We just say China's just sitting there and just doing whatever they can to these poor Uyghurs, whatnot, and everything like that. And I'm not going to get into the whole situation right now, but it's more complex than they make it out to be. In other words, we never take accountabilities for our past actions and why the situation is the way that it is today. And what does China do? In reaction, fam, they send a record 28 fighter jets towards Taiwan. Here it is, military.com. You can see it right there. Here's their J-16 fighter pilots. They send 28 of them. And the next picture right there, you can see a nice bomber from China escorting there. So the war games are on. And all it's going to take is one slip, one something, and the next thing you know, World War III is here. Taipei, Taiwan. China flew a record 28 fighter jets towards a self-ruled island of Taiwan on Tuesday. The island's defense ministry said the largest such display of force since Beijing began sending planes on a near daily basis last year. Taiwan's Air Force deployed its combat air patrol forces in response and monitored the situation in the southwestern part of the island's air defense identification zone with its air defense systems, the Ministry of National Defense said. Now, fam, where do you think they get those air defense systems from?
Gee, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, gosh.
I'm drawing a blank, Pasta. Where do they get them from?
Well, you know, which person is the king of the proxy wars? That's the United States, where they arm other regimes.
Yeah.
I mean, we armed Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, the Mujahideen. We created, we armed all these groups. And the same thing over here in China and Taipei and Taiwan. We're doing the same thing. We're propagating war. We're amping it up. It's a proxy war for us. Even Donald Trump was bad about this shit. Seriously, fam, I hate to say it. It was Tom Steyer who said the best thing in the world, because I think a lot of people can grasp it. He goes, China is our frenemy. We need to make them our frenemy. Okay, if they're our enemy and you want to look at that, we have to be friends with them. We have to sit down at the table. We have to talk. Now, I'm not a big Tom Steyer guy. I think he was better than a lot of them, but that makes sense. If China is really a global adversary, we have to sit down and talk to them. You know, we have to sit down and say, what do we have to do to make this thing work? We're not doing that. And yet every single thing that China is the way it is today is because it was us. We sent all our labor over there. We crushed American labor. NAFTA went over there. They used globalism to build their whole country, take people out of poverty, you know what I'm saying, like now, and become a superpower. They're now controlling our currency. And don't get me wrong, China has a lot of good things about them. You have to look at them. They're trying to manipulate the whole Bitcoin situation right now. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get their fingers in it because 50% of the mining comes out of China and it's owned by the Chinese government. So they're not angels by any means whatsoever, but I don't want to try to manufacture consent for us to have these actions where we're sending warplanes near Taiwan and we're sending our ships into the South China fucking Sea here, ladies and gentlemen. This could slip, and the next thing you know, we're all gone.
He said he was going to do it, so he's just doing what he literally told the American people he would do. I mean, at least he did something.
But who are they talking to? Why are they? Oh, we got to be tough on China.
A bunch of idiots and then people are like, "Whoa, Asian hate." Well, there you fucking go.
There you go.
There you fucking go. There's your Asian hate.
Stop the Asian hate while I'm going to send all our forces into the South China Sea, fam.
So, guys, let's read some super rays and get through this
last one really quick
section because
we have shows to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Embel Fateh has two of them. As Lenin says, imperialism is the final stage of capitalism. Whoever is calling Russia and China imperialist is an idiot. They don't destroy countries like Libya and Syria like we do for the economic growth. Liberals are morons and should call out their own. They should call out their own. They never will. In fact, they condone it and stuff like that. Like people are talking about, have you heard about the Belt and Silk Road Initiative? Yeah, I have. It's called infrastructure to move their goods and services around on their continent while moving people out of poverty. Oh, no. They go into these countries and they build all this stuff and then they go back and say, you can't pay us. And they take over their government. It's not like that, donkeys. It's not like that at all. And once again, I'd rather live in a country where we're going to use our finances to help people and form a bond with these countries rather than say, hey, you use our monetary system, you do what we do and what we say, otherwise we'll bomb you. Because that's what we do. Embel Fateh says, why are they still asking Putin about the elections? Didn't you guys cover that story? Even our soldiers or allies are asking for evidence for these Russian conspiracy theories. Blue Anon never ends. And we read that article and said, like, hey, listen, enough is enough. If you guys are going to present these theories, you need to give us evidence because we don't have evidence over here anymore. There is no evidence because it never happened. Russia didn't hack our fucking elections. But if you poll 50% of the Democrats, they still think that the Russians hacked the DNC servers without any proof. Even when CrowdStrike says, well, we have no empirical evidence of that. We just think it's Russia. Okay.
Guys, so this is probably like the last time we're going to do anything on this subject because I am just so sick and fucking tired about hearing of them. We talked about it the other day. They want this. They want the attention. This is why Anna and Cenk have been screaming for the last week about how Jimmy this, how everybody is sexist and all this other bullshit, right? Like there's a little bit of nuances because I'm not going to say that what he said was absolutely perfect because it wasn't. But at the same time, there's a weaponization of this. And I hate when people weaponize these issues, particularly the Me Too movement, to fucking lie and spread like complete and total bullshit about people and weaponize it for political points because they can't defend themselves on actual data, on actual like logical like points because they're wrong and they don't want to admit they're wrong. So they have to divert your attention into something that has absolutely nothing to do with the discussion at hand. It has nothing to do with Syria or the bullshit that they were talking about Syria. It has nothing to do with Julian Assange and how they tied him to Russiagate and they were saying he was a Russian. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're NATO-backed, mainstream media light network now, TYT. That Anna Kasparian has worked for NATO, has been funded by NATO. That she does softball interviews to Madeleine Albright and then complains about everybody else, literally Greenwald, the Gray Zone, Jimmy, whoever, like going on Fox, all these things that they're attacking people who are exposing them, right? And so
let's put up the tombstone real quick though.
Here's the TYT network.
Can I read it real
yes.
quick? TYT
Let's have a moment of silence.
February 14th, 2002 to July 15th, 2001. Of course, fam. Let's have this funeral and be done talking about because I'm done talking about Anna. I am done talking about Cenk. I am done with this shit. Listen, even if Jimmy Dore wasn't around, fam, they would still be fucking falling apart and dying because they suck. They took that money, and once they took that money, they were bought.
Right.
And once they were bought, their whole business model, their whole ideology went to shit because now you're working $24 million. Now you're working for those people who we were fighting against.
Right. So let's just start real quick. I have a yikes here. Jonny Johnny posted
Tsunami.
this. Jonny didn't know about these videos. I've seen some of them. I haven't seen all of them. And some of them were like, holy shit. Wow, I can't even believe. Okay. So this is TYT's Cenk Uygur in 2012, right? Launching a misogynist, sexist, and homophobic tirade on the University of Chicago cheerleader.
Georgia.
And University of Georgia cheerleader. I'm thinking Chicago right now. And let's just watch this because it's really, you guys should. The reason I'm showing this is because of the hypocrisy and how nasty they are and how if any of us ever did anything remotely close to this, we would be fucking shut down.
On the internet, I was like, oh, geez, Lord mercy. At first, I was wondering if it was Photoshopped, right? But it turns out it's not. She's real, right?
It looks Photoshopped. I mean, her arms look unbelievable.
Take a full screen on it, yeah. Oh, no. And I heard there was a debate on this. There's no debate. I'm ending the debate. I don't have my gavel with me, but I'll use my fist. 999! No way. No way. Not even close.
No way what? Like, there's a debate?
Not even I'd be worried that she was going to break something of mine during sex, and I'm much more worried that she's going to pull out a jammy on me.
She actually doesn't. Oh, yeah, she does. Never mind. I was going to say she doesn't look so bad in that picture, but this one.
There's an excellent chance she's a male.
No, okay, look. Here's the thing. I'm not going to go quite as far.
Look at how long her arms are.
I'm not going to go quite as far as you have.
I don't want to find out what's under that skirt.
Okay, just calm down.
Are we sure this isn't Photoshop? That looks like the longest arm in the world. And right there's no way I would hook up with her. I think, no way, man. I don't want to find out what's going on downstairs. How large are her hands?
She hits the gym. I don't see the crazy freakiness about it.
I see how you roll.
What is the thing? It's like, well, yeah, and I see how you roll. You're afraid of women.
That's your big hero right there that does that to women, looks up their skirt and then laughs at them.
So I want to be clear about something. I love our members, but I want to be clear about who we are and the kind of audience we want to foster, because this isn't just about building an audience, it's about building a movement. We want fighters beside us, and we want people who have the right ethics and morals to do this with us, right? If you watch that and you think there wasn't a big deal, I think that was totally fine. I don't want you in our audience. You are not part of what we're trying to do, because I don't want that toxicity. I don't want that culture as part of anything we do at TYT, whether it's internal in the office or external with our audience, period. That's it.
Okay, whoever did this video, thank you so much for doing
Take the
that.
cloak of virtuosity off me, please.
First
now
of
we have
all,
standards now.
First of all, I have to say, I would never make comments about a woman or anybody's body like that. First of all, that just goes without saying. Second of all, I have been accused of being so many things, anti this, anti that, like da da da, like because I ever said something nice about Tulsi Gabbard, right? And it's like, oh, I was uncomfortable even listening.
That
to
was
them.
on the air.
That like,
was live.
To them refer to this woman who is buff as potentially like mocking her, like her sexuality, whether she's a man or a woman.
Skirt.
I was uncomfortable just listening to that right now. And like, it's just crazy to me. The level, the sheer hypocrisy that these people have. Sure, that was years ago. They could have come around. I never saw an apology video from them saying, hey, this was wrong. Da, 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 da. There was never any sort of, we shouldn't have said this, blah, blah, blah. Like none of that, right? And now they're bringing back old shit, like Pasta says, to attack somebody's character, to paint somebody as a sexist and blah, blah, blah. And you don't have to agree with what Dore said. In fact, you can even call it out and say, hey, maybe you should have said that. However, you have to acknowledge the weaponization here that is being used against him, because they have this didn't just start. They have been going after this man. They've been going after everybody who exposes them as frauds, because that's what they are. And so now the reason we're showing this is because imagine if Pasta said any of that. Like, imagine if I said any of that. Like, imagine if that was like how they still have any support. People still, Ryan Grimm out there vouching for them. You got freaking the Humanist Report. You got David Dole. You got all these people still defending them and saying, but Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
How do you defend that? It's defensible.
Number one, they have no right to say this stuff because of their own actions. They should shut the hell up. And we obviously know why they're doing this. They're getting beat up on their journalism. So they go to this because their propaganda and their lack of journalism, we should say.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can go out there and now use this here. And, once again, you don't have to like what Jimmy Dore said. But guess what? He apologized for it, too.
Yeah.
He wrote a letter. So he was being sincere, like, hey, man, I'm sorry. And stuff. Like, usually this stuff is handled behind closed doors. Big difference if he touched her, grabbed her ass, did something like that. And, also in the workplace, quid pro quo, when you say, okay, the only way you get a raise, fam, is if you give me a little favors and then we give you a raise. And if I was your boss, that's something to really seriously look into. And somebody should be banished for that. But here's Jimmy being a man, making a mistake, then owning up to his mistake, writing a letter, and then just pulling this out of the closet right now to demonize and to shut him down, because they understand the culture of what's going on nowadays, and they can weaponize this stuff to really try to hurt his character. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that, him dealing with this whole situation is not something, it's not a moment he's proud of. I'm pretty sure of that, you know what I'm saying, like that. But right now, after what happened yesterday and the way he did his show and stuff like that, I am asking Jimmy, and I usually would never do this on camera, put it to rest. Don't talk about these people anymore. What's done is done. These people aren't worthy of our breath. They're fakes. They're phonies. They're paid off by the deep state. You've cleared your name. You've said what you've had to say. People are going to judge you by what the evidence is out there. We see all this stuff like that. But now, Jimmy, let's put this shit to rest. Don't even mention these assholes' names, these Sam Cedars, these TYTs, these Ryan Grimms. They're not worthy of it anymore. And without you, even if you weren't here, they'd still be a dying breed, because their brand, who they work for, they suck. They suck. They really do fucking suck. They're sitting out there talking about chemical attacks, twisting the narrative when it's been debunked how many fucking times. They still want to, once again, the same thing like the last section. Well, you don't want to call out Russia's imperialism and Putin's bad. We can do both. No, why are you doing that? Because you want to manufacture consent for your bosses, TYT, to do what they want to do. And we know who your bosses are.
And it gets worse because I don't even think Jimmy saw this. They did this a few years ago.
Well, he put it up, right?
Yeah. Well, he said, wow. But like, this was from Primo.
Primo Radical.
And yeah, let's just play some of this again. Some people don't know.
Yeah.
Genuinely don't know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Eva Longoria flashed her panties.
Oh,
Except-
okay. This is Young Turk style story. I like this. When the story has no purpose other than, come on, let's show you Eva Longoria's panties.
No, but her panties are very surprising because, hold on, before we show the picture.
Have you obtained it?
I've obtained photos of her panties.
Okay.
But before we look at them, I want to go to the peanut gallery. And I want to ask what kind of panties, well, actually, they might have already seen the pictures.
Well,
JR,
she says.
have you seen the picture of Eva Longoria's panties? Okay, what type of panties do you think Eva Longoria wears?
Let me give you my real guess.
Okay.
Something cutie, like teddy bears on it, or balloons, or lollipops, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. She wears something known as Spanx. Let's go to the picture.
I don't know what that is. Ooh, I can't see the panties, but I'm still having fun.
Okay, let me tell you what Spanx are.
I know a couple of guys that are spanxing right now.
Ew. How do you feel sexy wearing Spanx?
It looks good to me. I don't know. Am I
That
crazy?
turns you on?
I think
They're
so.
wait.
I
Hold
need-
on. They're like nude biker shorts.
Yeah. Okay, look, so let me understand what's happening here, because I can't understand that picture too much. I can't see her panties. Can you see her panties?
Yeah.
Or are they referring to the whole thing she's wearing on her leg?
It's
we don't need to see.
First of all, her
Yeah, we
legs
don't.
are.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I first of all, I would never waste my fucking time talking about what a celebrity wears on whatever. It's just gross, dude. It's just gross. Like, it's just so nasty and uncomfortable, and I don't want to hear it. You guys can watch it.
Yeah.
Jimmy has talked about it. Jimmy posted this next one. The two people in the video are accusing me of inappropriate conduct because I criticize their horrible journalism and shady business practices. That's why they're doing this. This is exactly why they're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Here is the appropriate, quote, work environment that it created at TYT. For years, they produced a segment, Can You Spot the Camel Toe? This was a fucking segment. A segment. Like, this is worse than, I haven't even seen this kind of shit in, like, E! Or TMZ. Like, this is like TMZ right here. Like, worse, right? And
Alex Jones wouldn't do this type of shit.
Alex
Jones wouldn't do this type of shit.
Imagine if a Fox person exactly did this right now. Do you see the level of outrage that these progressives would all have? Like, oh my god, we can't believe this right winger, sexist. Trump was a pussy grabber. Like, what? Where's the outrage for this?
But fam, Jimmy talked about my jeans, and I don't want to talk about the toxicity he's bringing, and I don't want that culture here. But let's take a look at my old show. It goes, spot the camel toe. Here you go.
We'll play a little bit.
I'd like to begin the entertainment segment by asking you to identify the camel toe.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we have obtained a photo of a celebrity's camel toe. It is a close-up, so I'm off the kids if they've never seen a gine. Let's go to the picture.
Gine.
Let's do a little close-up. Who's camel toe?
Oh, for the love of God.
Take a wild guess.
All right, bring me back to the non-close-up. I've had enough with the close-up. Interesting. Who is that? Huh. Okay, I got it. I don't even know what sexy is. What is that?
It's like saying sexy.
Oh, sexy. Okay, I got it.
All right, Oz.
She seems to be a brunette.
All right. So just
Did you
so
spot the camel toe thing?
Yeah. And then here. I just want to show the title here of Jimmy's next tweet.
If you
just
scroll down real quick,
you'll be able to see it. He said TYT's response to Cure's criticism was to McCarthyite smear award-winning anti-war journalist Aaron Matei. Now they're desperate to change the narrative while their feeble attempt at blackmailing me. Again, here's an example of the work. You can see it right there if you just scroll down a little bit there. Here's an example of the work environment these two smear merchants created, of course, and he worked with them, so he knows. This is the title of one of their segments, Amanda Congdon, Real Talent or Just Big Tits. There you go. That's not toxic at all. And then what started all of this was me exposing Cenk Uygur, repeating CIA talking points and smearing Julian Assange, which he absolutely did. In this bizarre rant, Cenk Uygur accuses Julian Assange of being a Trumper. At the same moment, Trump was trying to kill him. He is now trying to smear me in the same way. We've seen Cenk Uygur. Let's play a little bit of the video because it's important to point out the reasons actually aren't even, bringing these things up with what they used to talk about. It's because of what they're doing.
Obviously, it's hard to tell who's telling the truth here.
But lately, I have to confess that WikiLeaks has not had an astounding record. The way that Assange seems to be backing Donald Trump over and over and over again, it makes me very seriously question Assange's efforts to actually be a journalist and not to be a partisan. And I get it. I get why he hates the Democrats. They're trying to put him in prison. Okay.
Right. But
at the same time,
so are Republicans. Let's be clear about that.
And now the Republicans are too, and they have been in the past. But it seems like Assange has picked a side. And look, it makes me question his reporting. And so that's the situation we're in now. So now, is he just leaking things that he gets, and no matter what, in which case I would respect that? Or is he selectively leaking based on his political motives? Now that suspicion is out there and it's real and it's possible, well, now I'm concerned that it can't be trusted.
Okay, so that to me is more damaging than anything he could have possibly ever said. Obviously, it's less offensive, but it's more damaging. Why? Because he is saying WikiLeaks can't be trusted, that Assange is partisan, which is completely lie. WikiLeaks has 100% accuracy rating. Like they haven't had to retract a story, unlike TYT. So, and unlike the New York Times, unlike the Washington Post, unlike all these fucking propagandists, and then just blatantly just accusing him of being a Trumper all of a sudden with no evidence. They do this. They literally make accusations with no evidence. Oh, you're getting paid by Russia, or you're getting paid by Assad. Like with no evidence.
With no evidence. Well, let's just connect the dots, right? TYT got a check for $24 million from Jerry Katzenberg. Jerry Katzenberg, a big Hillary Clinton supporter. Hillary Clinton wanted to drone Julian Assange, right? Okay, so it's just all connected. Also, Madeleine Albright, Bill Clinton's Secretary of State, right? Gets a softball interview. It's all connected. TYT is bought and paid for. They are now dead. We're going to put them to rest for good, and you should too. They are done, completely done, and laugh for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. They're right around the corner from us. We go out to events all the time. Do you ever fucking see anybody from TYT? We saw Emma once when she worked for TYT in New Hampshire.
And that was Emma. That wasn't even Emma.
That wasn't even freaking Chunk. So let's put them to fucking rest. Fam, what else you got?
And just if you scroll down, Oz, you can see Misty did 2 replies where you guys can see 2 other videos they did on the tweet. There's one they did that was like Chelsea Clinton hot. Amanda, just a bunch of a bunch of these Britney Spears, just like stupid nasty shit that's not news. It's not, what are you covering here? And that was way back when. Like I didn't know about it then, right? It was just, it's gross. So I wanted to point that out, and I think that's pretty much most of it.
Yeah, the Frank analysis
Frank said TYT is done. You're next, Sam Cedar, because this is out of everything that's happening, this is what Sam Cedar, is that Nomiki? And
is that Nomiki Konst?
And Emma, I don't know who it is actually.
Yeah, I can just tell you this much right now, that he's trying to twist the narrative. We've seen how Sam Cedar is obsessed with Jimmy Dore, the whole Jimmy. And Sam is desperately trying to bait out Jimmy Dore to have a conversation with him or a debate with him. And you know what? I used to be like, Jimmy, go fucking kick his ass. Now, you know what?
Don't give him attention.
He ain't even worth your time. This guy is done. Emma's on the show right now. The leftovers from TYT. These people need to be put to sleep for good. They're not real journalists. They're stenographers, and they care about their fucking wallets more than anything else. They're not down for the truth. So it's time we're done with them. Let's show the Sam Cedar video of him desperately trying to goad out Jimmy Dore.
Yep.
There's a reason why Jimmy said, will not actually mention my name, where has cut out from interviews that he's done where people have referenced me, has cut them out. But yet, will every time Glenn Greenwald says something critical about me, will like it. And because I humiliated him. I didn't humiliate him by talking about like his, bad dye job at the time, or any of that stuff, or his, sort of loser career up until the point where he got on TYT. None of that. I humiliated him because I showed that he didn't know what he was talking about, even though I had given him advance warning that I was doing it and invited him on and all that. And I humiliated him on the show, so much so that, he had invited me onto his show, but then privately said like, no, I can't do it. And for years. And that humiliation has lasted with him. And so this is the way that he trades about it, but it is, you can see it embedded in here, his inability to say, like, I did something wrong. Never articulates, I did something wrong. It's, I just made a joke that everybody thought was funny because she was so inappropriately dressed. And then she got humiliated, and I felt bad because I was her friend and I saw her get humiliated. That's what you do.
No, but first he says she was humiliated, and she was like essentially right to be humiliated. But I was magnanimous, of course.
Exactly. Like, he's describing the actions you take if you watch someone else humiliate them, and you write, like, I'm sorry you went through that, and I feel bad I didn't say anything to that person.
Right.
Not if you're the perpetrator. You articulate that what you did, like, he can't even articulate that what he did was wrong. He's just saying, like, I just, too funny.
You got to it, Sam, though. Like, he is insecure about his comedy career, and the low-hanging fruit in his mind due to his misogyny that just is like what his worldview is, right? Is to take it out on a woman rather than take it on you, Sam.
Okay, so like again, this is the type of the progressive contingent that weaponizes, women's issues, the Me Too movement, etc., but completely misses the mark on calling out their own who have been continuously engaged in that type of environment. Again, you don't have to agree with how Jimmy Dore handled the situation at all to understand that this is being weaponized. And it's so petty to me. I'm just angry that this is even happening and it's taking up space. But the reason we're going over it is because we're fucking done with TYT, and you guys can hate us for being done. And it's not going to get the clicks and all that shit always gets, this whole like, ooh, war between. But these people do need to be exposed. And the people like Sam Cedar and all these people are next. Franco said it. You're next. You're fucking next. And we have been talking about TYT being awful here on FCSC. But one of the people that really, really brought up the receipts, Robbie Receipts, has been talking about this for a long time and for the right reasons. He wasn't going with hanging fruit like they go after Jimmy for his hair or his comedy, or you see how they're like children. It's like high school. He was talking about the money, follow the money. He said, I wrote the definitive piece on TYT's billionaire funding back in 2019 before it was cool. It wasn't just Katzenberg. He wasn't even the main investor, much less the only DNC mega donor to throw them cash. For those who didn't know, welcome to the party. And he has right here, if you haven't seen this article, check it out, the ideological failure of the Young Turks. And if you go to the article, you will see literally he lists all the donors, the receipts, all of this. When he put this out, people were going after him. They were smearing him. They were attacking him. They were attacking Niko. They were attacking. And what? Oh, 2 years later, like I told Steve just now, like, get used to it. This is what happens all the time. Oh, sorry. You were right. Okay. Guys, this is all for everybody to understand. Start paying attention to the people who are censored, to the people who are smeared, to the people who have been right about literally every single issue, because it's not that difficult to predict things if you actually pay attention. And so you guys can read it yourself. He has all the links, all the receipts here. It's the donors. It's like he said, that is just one. Katzenberg is one little layer. There's so many more. And I highly, highly recommend Robbie Yeager's work because he's exposing people left and right with receipts. And it's been amazing to see his journey thus far. He was on this from the start. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and it really just presents you the two choices that you can make, right? You can go down this path or that path. You want to go down the path of money, just spewing the narrative of the predator class. You play ball. You won't be, demonetized. You won't be censored. We'll lift you up. We'll give you some airtime. We'll get you this and that. Or if you want to tell the truth and you don't want to talk about the narrative that we want to put out there, you're going to be demonetized. You're going to get strikes. Look what happened to Matty Orff. They went back and they took out videos that he had on private. They weren't even to the public. They went. It's like you said, fam. It's like they went into your computer and punished you for shit you had in your own personal computer that you'd even put out there in the real world. Those are the two choices. TYT made that choice a long time ago, right? And it was a slow death. And now it's time to, if you want to give him a military burial, I don't give a shit. But it's time for let's put them to sleep. Like I said, out there, that's it, guys. Don't talk about these assholes anymore. Let's not give them any more fuel for their fire because they've proven and they've shown their colors. It's time. It's done. Let's put them to bed. Let's put them to rest. R.I.P. TYT.
R.I.P. TYT, fam.
R.I.P. TYT. Shadowban Refugee also says, O'Reilly Holmes, TYT is fucking dead, and let's celebrate it with a wedding. Fee told me I got her heart, and she got mine too. So let's go. Time's a wasting for me, Fee.
Are you asking for my internet?
And our internet marriage. It's an internet marriage, Sam.
Okay.
What about Putin?
I'll commit to that.
I'll give the political novella a new drama cycle too. The political novella has got a new Fee is her internet relationship is with Shadowban Refugee.
All right.
Congratulations, as 2 people die, 2 people.
Yes, Shadowban.
Whatever. Emblefaté, no offense, but I don't know about any of this. Enough of the TYT. They can handle their Jimmy breakup in divorce court. But all I care about is the people, Syrian people, Afro people, Latin people. People are in danger, and talking about TYT will do nothing to help them.
Absolutely.
They don't talk about the real stories. In fact, they're sitting there and going along with the CIA Pentagon-backed narrative in Syria.
That's why they're dangerous. That's why we mentioned them in terms of, I think they, people need to know who these people are, what they're doing, more so focused on their propaganda on Syria and their propaganda on Assange and their propaganda on Russia.
The Russiagate was ridiculous.
All of that. Yeah. Like that's really what we want to focus on, right? And so what is the best way to do that is to pretty much contradict everything they say with evidence and with all of that. And like that's what we're saying. We're telling you because we're done fucking talking about them. They can go eat a bag of fucking dicks and choke on it for all I care. I really do not care about them anymore. And I agree with you 100%. People with a platform like Jimmy's, just ignore them because this is what they live on. And this is our bye-bye TYT. Don't want to fucking hear you. Don't want our audience to don't ask us about fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm fucking done with it. And it's nasty, right? The smearing is nasty, what they've done, etc. Anna's literally blocked everybody like in the spear. Like she's
hashtag I've been blocked by Anna.
She blocked Caitlin Johnston the other day. It's just hilarious to me.
Too.
It's so childish. She's a child. But anyway, yeah, we're done with them. They can go whatever. We have more important things to cover. We had a huge long show covering all these other things that they will never ever fucking cover. Stop. They have zero defense, and we're moving on. It's a new day. Guys,
look for
thanks so much.
TYT to be broken up, and Anna get a job at CNN, and Chunk get a job at
MSNBC. I think with her friend Francesca Fiorentini. I think.
Well, she lost her job, I think, over there.
Oh, really?
She was saying I'm in between jobs, and what she do? She went on TYT to talk about shit. It's just listen, the band's getting back together, but they're all lumped into one thing.
Yeah.
They're fakes, they're frauds, they're phonies. It's what we call, fam, fugazis.
Fugazis.
Oh. So farewell, goodbye, TYT, we say goodbye. Whatever, guys, we want to thank you all for joining today. We know it was a long show. We got a bunch of other shows we're doing today. I'm doing a sports show with Misty, and
then I'm doing
a show with Misty. And then you have another show after. It's also Wise Guy Wednesday too, as well. So we've been watching.
We're busy motherfuckers.
Later tonight. Yesterday the Islanders got lost on a bullshit fucking call. Too many men on the ice. But we won't talk about that. Matthew Barzell will be back in the boys tomorrow night for Game 3. So anyways, that's that. We want to say thank you so much to all our Patreons.
We love you guys.
Over there. They haven't gone on and taken away our Patreon yet, but we don't know. Who knows what's going to happen. They'll do anything to cripple the truth tellers out there, or people who are talking about stuff they don't want you to talk about, like the things we talk about. So we've been given the boot by YouTube as far as our monetization is concerned. They still haven't got back to us, so it really sucks, but we're going to keep pushing and fighting to do so, because this is the public square, and we have every right to voice our opinions in the public square, as long as we're not promoting violence or death or anything like that, right, fam? So that's
I did say they could choke on a bag of dicks.
They should choke on a bag of Richards.
I guess
thank
that's
you
violent.
so much. Pasta Jardula here.
Fiorella.
And Oz is on the 1s and 2s. Go check out our shop. We got that going, whatnot. Tomorrow we'll be doing To Hell and Back. That's the show with Shanda and I when we talk about addiction. So tune in for that. We have the actual interviews coming up that I went to North Georgia for you guys who out there who made it possible and helped us out with the finances. We love you. We thank you. Thank you to Oz, Roar Media. Anything else, fam?
No, fam. That's it. We love you guys. See you Friday.
All right. We'll be back. We'll see you with Johnny Sue on Friday. We love you all.
Come out.
You got it.